Hello, good day everyone. How are you doing? And welcome back to this channel. And in today's class, we'll be talking about the Gnathostomata, also known as the gnatostome, which is jawed vertebrates. But before we get into today's class, I will just urge everyone that is watching this video to please subscribe to this channel, like, and comment as well. Um, we can't do anything without your support, and we need your support to build this community and to build this channel to where we want it to get to. So comment if you have any question or you have anything to say to these particular videos that we have done so far, either in this video or the ones that we have done before. I'll be looking forward to that. Thank you so much. So moving on to today's class, the Gnathostomata, which is jawed vertebrates. Remember that when we were talking about chordate zoology, we said we have different classes in phylum Chordata, and one of them is the phylum Hemichordates, subphylum Hemichordates, subphylum Urochordates, subphylum Cephalochordate, and subphylum Vertebrata. And under Vertebrata, we have the agnatans and gnathostomes. And we said the gnathostomes, agnatans are jawless vertebrates, and that was the last video that we did on the biology of lamprey, which is pentromyzon, right? And we mentioned a lot of characteristics about the lamprey, from their active blood suckers to they have a suctoral mouth, right? They have a depressing buccal cavity, they have teeth in their lips and all like that. But we said that they have no jaw. So the advancement of gnatostome, over the agnatans is the presence of jaw and the presence of paired appendages. Now, so today we'll be talking about origin. We're talking about gnatostome. We said they have jaw. Where does this jaw come from? They say they have paired appendages. Where does these appendages come from? What is the classification of gnatostome? What are the properties of the gnatostomes? And what are the primitive gnatostome itself? These are the questions that we'll be answering in today's class. So let us get into it. What are gnatostomes? Gnatostomes are jawed vertebrates, and they are characterized by development of jaw. They are much more advanced than the agnatans due to the presence of jaw and paired appendages. And because of the presence of jaw, they are able to feed on wide varieties of food, and they are active predators. They leave the sea bottom to go and prey actively on other large animals or other large vertebrates as well as invertebrates. And the jaw is believed to evolve during the late Silurian and the early Devonian period. The general characteristic of gnatostome includes the jaw, which encircle the mouth, the paired appendages that is present in all gnatostome, calcified bony skull as well as vertebra that is present in gnatostome, and the fishes, amphibians, reptiles, apes are all member of the class gnatostome. With development of the teeth, with the development of the jaw, there is development of teeth as well. And with the development of teeth, it is made possible for these animals to cut food into swallowable pieces. Hence, this makes them to be a very successful and an active predator. So they are able to use the teeth to grind other substance into assimilable form. So because of this, jaw become an organ for defense and offense. And apart from that, because they are predators, because they are predators, they have to develop a particular property that will make them to chase after their prey, or to run away from their predator as well, because we have prey, we have predator under the gnatostome, which we'll be talking about. So they must evolve some characteristics that can make them escape predator and can make them chase after prey. You understand? And one of that is the paired appendages and more streamlined body. So they have more streamlined bodies and they have paired appendages. And in that streamlined body, we'll be relating that to fishes. Paired appendages, we will say paired fin in fishes as well. Now, that is what we have there. So because of because of the development of mode of feeding, there is need for faster locomotion to pursue their prey and faster locomotion to run away from their predator. You understand? So high mobility is needed when it comes to the gnatostome. Now, let us now talk about the evolution of jaw. We said they have jaw. Where does this jaw come from? So this is a picture that is representing, that is illustrating the jaw evolution. So they believe that jaw evolved as a modification of the third gill arc. The first two gill arc has been lost, you understand? So this third visceral arc is called the mandibular arc. You understand? It is called the mandibular arc. Now, the mandibular arc become enlarged and the free end of the mandibular arc become rotated to form upper and the lower jaw at one side. So look at it. This is a mandibular arc. This is a mandibular arc. Can you see it? Now you will see that the mandibular arc is becoming extend, like it is extending at this side. Can you see it? So it extend, and in this case we have upper lip here, right? We have upper lip here as well. We have upper lip. Can you see that the mandibular arc is extending as we are moving from the pre-gnatostome to the late pre-gnatostome to the early gnathostome, then to the new gnathostome, which is shark, for example. So you will see that the mandibular arc extend outward, right? Let me change the ink of this. Let me just change the ink so that you can see it well. So look at it. We have the mandibular arc. Can you see it extend to cover the upper lip? Can you see? And it extend, and we can see it here. And we see that in this case we have no teeth, but in this case, when the upper jaw has been formed, then we have a teeth. So what forms the upper and the lower jaw at one side is the third visceral arc, also known as the what? Also known as the mandibular arc. Now, the fourth visceral arc is known as mandibular arc, and the mandibular arc extend as well as a support props from the for to form as a support prop to form the brain case to the posterior of the upper jaw. So what it does is that it forms a brain case to the posterior of the upper jaw. You will see that this is the mandibular arc. Can you see it here? Can you see that it is become extending in this case as well? So the third visceral arc is known as the mandibular arc, and the fourth visceral arc is known as what? As the mandibular arc. Now, this is a image illustrating a primitive agnatans, or a primitive gnatostome instead. You understand? Now, you will see that we have the mandibular arc, we have the mandibular arc. The first and the second arc has been lost. So the third arc is known as the mandibular arc, and the fourth one is known as the mandibular arc. And you can see the gill pores or the gill slits. Can you see it here? So we can tell that this is a what? This is either an agnathan or an early gnatostome, that the this thing has not been formed, branchial plate or anything like that. And we have the upper lip. You understand? We have the upper lip, we have the mouth opening, and we have the lower lip. But in this case, you will see that immediately that the mandibular arc extend to the what? To the lip, a teeth is developed, and there is no teeth here. You understand? So because of the evolution of jaw, teeth is developed, and teeth enables them to feed on what? To feed on varieties of food, large varieties of food. You understand? So moving from there to the origin of paired fins. The origin of paired fin is one of the critical events in the history of vertebrates. Now, there are now two basic hypotheses dating back to 19th century, and this hypothesis is the gill arc hypothesis and the fin fold hypothesis. But the most that is being accepted is the fin fold hypothesis, which suggested that the paired fin are derived from lateral longitudinal fold that appears in the early development and evolution. Both hypotheses were originally proposed from observation of comparative embryology, anatomy of extant shark, which means the evidence that shows that supports the fin fold theory as well as the gill arc theory is embryology, anatomy, and paleontology, which I'll be talking about very soon. You understand? So we said there are two theories. The first one is what? The first one is the gill arc theory. And the gill arc theory says that it is the gill arc that give rise to development of what? That give rise to development of the paired fins. You understand? While the fin fold theory says that what? It says that we have a lateral, look at it, this is a fin, you understand? just like this one that we can find in lamprey as well. Can you see? Continuous fin. Can you see? So this is a fin. We now believe that the fin extends to the what? To the front to form something like this. You understand? To form something like this. So we now have paired lateral fin fold, like something that is like this. This is a fish, for example, that is having something like this before. So it's now fold, you understand, to form something like this. To form something like this. Do you get? So it folds to form something like this, to the extent that it now break to form different type of fin. Just like this, it now break to form something like this. Can you see? The dorsal fin, the caudal fin. Can you see? Can you see that everything is on this line before, but all of them break to form different type of fin? So we have the dorsal fin, the caudal fin, the anal fin, the pelvic fin, as well as the pectoral fin. You understand? And the most supported theory of origin of paired fin is the fin fold theory. So they believe that initially the unpaired fin is used for steering and turning. You understand? So they had to develop something that will, because the early agnatans they live in the sea bottom, but now they have to colonize the upper sea. You understand? They have to colonize the upper water. Then they have to develop a particular structure that will help them in what? That will help them in mobility. That will help them in steering and turning. So because of this, the later vertebrates they develop what they evolve what we know as the paired fins. So that is the origin of paired fins. Now we now say that the most accepted theory is the fin fold theory, which is this the fin fold theory. What are now the things that supported the fin fold theory? We have the embryology, the anatomy, as well as the paleontology of extant shark. That is what they use, as well as the clamatos as well. You understand? Because the early clamatos, they are said to have a broad base fin. They have a paired fin, but the fin is broad base. And this fin cannot be used for look at this. We have something like this, for example. I just want to sketch. Then we have a fin with a broad base. You understand? You see, this fin cannot be used for steering and maneuvering. You understand? It cannot be what? Used for steering and maneuvering. And because of this, they have to make it narrow. The only way they can make it narrow is to fold it. You understand? So we are going to have something like this. Then the narrow, can you see? Then we have a narrow base fin. That is different from the what? That's different from the broad base fin. You understand? So that is that on that. Now, this is also another example of the dorsal fin. Can you see? The anal fin, the caudal fin, the anal fin, the pelvic, and the pectoral fin. So these are the example of the fin that they actually possess. So these are paired fins. And the paired fin is used for us for steering, maneuvering, swimming, and also for fast and high mobility to chase towards the prey and also escape predators as well. So, and let us now talk about the introduction to fishes. You see, living fishes with jaws mostly fall into two well-marked classes. That is the cartilaginous fish, and it is called the chondrochites, and the bony fishes, which is called the osteichthyes, including the familiar finned fish, lungfishes. This group believed to arise at the late of the Devonian period, and before that time, various other type of fishes have dominated the water, just like the agnatans. You understand? But the primitive gnathostome that we have is the chondrochite and the osteichthyes. So the chondrochites and the osteichthyes, even before I talk about this, I'm supposed to talk about the classification of what? The classification of the gnathostomes. So the classification of the gnatostome, we have the chondrochites. Let me just read down as CH. We have the osteichthyes. Let me use down as OAS. We have the amphibians. Let me use that AMP. We have the reptiles. Let me use that REP. Reptiles. We have the aves. Let me use that AVES. Yes, that one is still first. And we have the mammals. That is mammals. So we have mammals. You understand? So now this is chondrocyte, and chondrocyte is characterized by the presence of a cartilaginous skeleton. Then we have the osteocytes. It's characterized by having what? A bony skeleton. So this is bony, this is cartilaginous. You understand? This is cartilaginous, this is bony. And the amphibians, from the word ampho, that is boats, and biont, that is life. You understand? They can live on both land and water, because the both of them here, they live on in water, so they are strictly aquatic. But you see these ones, amphibians, they can live on both what? Both habitats. You understand? Both habitats. Now, reptiles, aves, and mammals, they live in what? They live on land. You understand? Though we can see some reptiles that live in inside water, such as what? Such as turtle. Turtle is a reptile. Sea turtle is a reptile, and it lives inside the water. But still, they come to the land to reproduce. You understand? So they are still land animals. So now we have aves. Aves are characterized by the presence of wings. They can fly. And mammals are characterized by the ability to feed their young ones with breast milk. You understand? And the ability to give birth to their young ones alive. So that is what we have there. Now, chondrocytes and osteocytes can now be subdivided into two subclasses. The chondrocyte can be subdivided into elasmobranchi and holocephaly. The osteocytes can be separated into actinopterygii and sarcopterygii. And the sarcopterygii can either be crosopterygii or diploid. And we also have some super order of chondrocytes and osteocytes as well. But these are the basic ones that I want to introduce to us now. We have the elasmobranchi and holocephaly for chondrocytes, or cartilaginous species, actinopterygii and sarcopterygii for osteocyte, that is for bony fishes. You understand? Now, this is the main difference between the cartilaginous species, which is the chondrocyte, and the bony fish, which is the osteocyte. You understand? Now you see these animals, they can adapt to aquatic habitat because of some reason. One of them is the streamlined bodies. They have a very streamlined body. Can you see? That is compressed. I say they have a streamlined body that is compressed. And in the next video, that's what we'll be talking about: adaptation to fishes into aquatic habitats. So we'll be talking about the introduction to aquatic life, or the introduction to aquatic adaptation. But let me just mention a few of them. They have streamlined body. They possess lateral line, which is sensitive to serve as sense organ, something like this. Can you see the lateral line that serves as organ for sense? They possess gills, something like gill slits, and operculum. This operculum is the one that is covering the gills of bony fishes. You understand? So they possess operculum, and they possess gills or gill slits that is basically used for respiration. So gills are respiratory device, and they possess organ that helps them to balance water and salt water exchange. You understand? And they have organ for buoyancy. They call them swim bladder. Yes, they call them swim bladder. So they use it for buoyancy inside the water. Are you getting me now? And they evolve some complex character, like the ones that they can use for cryptic coloration, which they can use to escape prey. You understand? Camouflaging. Yes, camouflaging, protective camouflaging, and they have protective coloration as well. And some have the ability to produce venom, just like stonefish. And stonefish is a bony fish. They have the ability to produce venom, as well as some have the ability to produce electric shock. You understand? They have electric organ, and all these things are used for what? They are used for defense, and they are used for offense. This is the adaptation to where they are actually living. You understand? Now we now have I've talked about the osteocyte and the chondrocyte. We have the amphibians that can live on both land and water, and we have three extant order like the Gymnophiona, Gymnophiona means those ones that have like eel-like body. You understand? Anura means those ones without tail, the ones without tail. And Urudela means those ones with tailed, like tail tailed amphibians. You understand? An example is salamander and newts. Frog and toad for Anura, Sicilian for Gymnophiona. And reptiles, these are reptiles. We have Anapsida, the Apsida squamata, and they said modern birds actually evolved from the dinosaur, but we are not talking about that one yet. We're just talking about the classification of the genatostome. We have mentioned the chondrocyte, osteichthyes, amphibians, then we go to reptiles, you understand? And I said an example of reptiles that live in water is the turtle. Even crocodiles as well, crocodilians, they are they live inside water, even though they are semi-aquatic animal, you understand? Because we have primary aquatic animals, we have secondary aquatic animals. We can be talking about that one in the next class as well. So we have different type of them like that. We have two suborders as well. Now we have the birds. Hmm? For bird, we have two infraclasses. That is a paleognathae and the neognathae. You understand? And birds are characterized by having wings. You understand? They are characterized by what? By having wings. Now we have bird, and we have flightless bird. So they can be they can be flightless. So under the birds, we'll be taking a particular representative, which is Columbia sp. That is what we'll be using when we get to biology of aves. And we have the mammals. We'll be using biology of ratus, which is rats, for the mammals. And mammals are warm-blooded animals with four limbs, and they have the ability to produce milk. They breastfeed their young ones. And we have examples like carnivora, Perissodactylia, Monotremata, Rudentia, Proboscidae, primates, Sirenianta, Archaeodactyls, Chiroptera, as well as Cystiticia. You understand? So we have them like that. And we'll be using rats as the representative for mammals when we get to biology of mammals. For reptiles, we'll be using agama for reptiles. And we'll be using bufo, which is toad, for amphibians. So these are the things that we have learned for today's class. And we'll be stopping here. In the next class, we'll be talking about the adaptation to aquatic habitat itself. Thank you so much for listening. Please don't forget to like and comment if you have any question, or even if there is anything that you want to tell us on how to improve our channel. Just comment it under this particular video or any other video that you have watched. Thank you so much. We really appreciate, and we'll meet in the next class.